Okay, cast this guy. Let's go ahead and buff the soldier. Remove the Glissa. Attack both planeswalkers. What you got? Let's go! What's going on, gamers? Hex Drinker MTG coming at you with another standard deck tech and playthrough. And boy, do we have a treat today. It's mono white Caretaker control. Now, this deck didn't have any standard results to speak of up until last week when it first popped on my radar, as MTGO regular Bo3 took down a standard challenge with the deck. I quickly dismissed this as a fluke, as, you know, one deck can win here and there. But just a couple days later, boom, another challenge taken down by the deck. So prior to this week, kind of like white token control strategies were considered a bit of a player going into the US Regional Championship about a month and a half ago. Those decks were the same at their core, but were splashing red for some powerful cards like Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Lightning Helix, and sometimes Nahiri the Harbinger. So today we'll be looking at this deck. You know, it has such a high novelty factor, is so different and looks so interesting. Our hand is forced, we have to go for it. So looking at it card by card, we'll compare it to that Pioneer deck first. So the namesake card, Carrot Cake, it's kind of the linchpin of the deck. It does several different things well, and that kind of brings everything together, so forming the glue of the deck. At its core, the card is a 2-mana artifact. It makes a 1/1 rabbit token, gains your life, and sets up your draw with scrying. The important part, however, is that you get to do it twice aside from the life gain, and that you can do it on your turn and your opponent's turn. Now this, or that fact rather, helps us take full advantage of our value engines, the main one being Caretaker's Talent. This card allows you to draw a card each time a token enters the battlefield and under your control, and it triggers once per turn. When you level it up, it will also copy a token you control, but typically you wait to do that on turns where you don't have other effects that generate the trigger. And then lastly, you can sometimes use it as a bit of a finisher, helping to pump the rest of your team. Aside from that, we have Beza, the Bounding Spring, really well statted for the cast, typically draws you a card in mid-range matchups, and then is just like the most effective card against any red aggressive strategies, both in Pioneer and in Standard. After that, we have Sunfall, the card that shuts the door on attacking mid-range strategies, particularly good in Standard right now with all the Enduring Cycle, Mosswood Knight, and some other cards. In Pioneers, doing the same for cards such as Arclight Phoenix. Now, last but not least, Fountainport. This is a very powerful land introduced during Bloomburrow. It helps create triggers from the Caretaker's Talent by making a fish token. It can also make treasure tokens to trigger that, and can sacrifice your tokens to draw cards. So really, just another value piece. Now, copies 5 through 8 of Caretaker's Talent were introduced thanks to Duskmourn entering the card pool. So here we have Enduring Innocence. It's a 3-casting cost 2/1, and whenever one or more creatures with power 2 or less enter the battlefield under your control, triggers to draw a card. Triggers once per turn, similarly to Caretaker's Talent, and then just like the rest of the cycle, it dies back into an enchantment with the same effect. We have 2 copies of Archangel Elspeth, just as another value piece. Makes a token per turn, and then can put counters on creatures and give them flying. You can use this to push the last points of damage through or pick off opposing planeswalkers. And lastly, we do have another Duskmourn card. It's Overlord of the Mistmoors, very powerful. Just the 1 copy, kind of serving as both a value piece and a finisher. Looking at the deck's removal package, it's really flexible. We have kind of an underpowered Source to Plowshares in Laydown Arms. This card exiles a creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control, and the control of that creature gains 3 life. So it is flexible. You can use it on your own creatures in a pinch. And then we are playing 18 planes to try and really take full effect of that card. Get Lost, very flexible removal. Destroys creatures, enchantments, or planeswalkers. It does have the downside of creating map tokens for the control of that permanent. It is useful in killing cards like Up the Beanstalk and the Ritual Chamber, so pretty important there. The last one, Soul Partition, it's like a extreme catch-all. It tags cards that our other removal cannot. So Planeswalkers like Get Lost, but also artifacts like Urabrask Forge. So after sideboard games, you're typically looking to adjust your removal suite to match the matchup better. So yeah, let's get into the games. As usual, the deck list and sideboard guide is available in the comment section, in the description section, if you'd like to follow along. So let's get into it. All right, game one. This hand pretty good. We got the first few land drops sorted. We can trade water until we find some sort of value engine to get the ball rolling. Blue-white land off the bat for the opponent. Silent Hawk Reaper. This is probably blue-white enchantments. It's like an aggro deck with many of its own value engines, such as Entity Tracker and Enduring Curiosity. No play from them turn 3, so they probably have the Flash Entity Tracker. They do. I'm going to kill that here before they untap and can protect it with something like Shard Mage's Rescue, giving hexproof. Okay, Optimistic Scavenger. I'm hoping for a tap out on it, and they do. Unless they have untapped land here, they don't. I'm going to take advantage of our sorcery speed removal. I don't do that. Okay, so the reason why I didn't do that was gearing up for a Sunfall here. Try and get around any sort of protection. Also trying to get extra cards from them because we haven't found our value engine yet. So I'm trying to get, at least 2 cards for my Sunfall. And they typically don't run any counter spells main deck. So here I'm just going to go for it. And, take the Ethereal Armor with the Scavenger. Enduring Innocence, that's a nice one to get with Laid on Arms. And we finally find our own Enduring Innocence. So hopefully we can get the ball rolling here soon with something like a Carrot Cake or Fountainport. Let's get in for a cheeky 1 damage, spend our mana. Here I'm hoping probably just exile theirs and continue to chip away with a little bit of damage. Here I'm just reading to find out if Innocence triggers off of something like Maps to maybe kill our own Incubator token, but it does not. They don't play their Elspeth, so that's pretty suspicious. We finally find some sort of creature token here to trigger on Enduring Innocence. They have more cards than us, so let's just keep the Beza. It's going to draw us a card. And if they play an Entity Tracker here to block, we do have Get Lost to kill it in response. And a backup Soul Partition if they have protection. Getting the Innocence to trade is actually preferable. That way we can Sunfall in the future without losing the effect, as it will flip into the enchantment version of itself. The downside of letting that happen is that we would give them a turn with Entity Tracker and they could just build a ton of value there. I just don't want to let them untap with it. So here we're taking advantage of Enduring Innocence triggering once per turn and using Carrot Cake on their end step to draw a second card with it. And yeah, ball's rolling now. We'll add Elspeth to the board. That's an additional kind of guaranteed token per turn in combination with the Innocence. And yeah, now ideally, like I mentioned before, would like the Innocence to die so that we can get a clean Sunfall. I don't mind losing the tokens. The importance of them is mostly to draw cards, hit land drops and go bigger, so kind of get stronger, less disruptible value engines going. We'll go for the blowout here. If they have protection, that's fine. It turns out they have Faithlight, which is a more expensive version of Shard Mage's Rescue for 1 and a blue. They go ahead and exile our Enduring Innocence. And we're going to lose Elspeth here as well. But, they've kind of insulated our Innocence here for us. So they may not have blocked it last turn to transform it. But now it's no longer in place, so we just get the clean Sunfall. And now we get a big Incubator, and we get our Innocence back. As well as a 3-of-a-kind Beza sandbagged in hand. So we're just going to look to draw a card with each of those. Here they don't play Elspeth again. So, like, besides Entity Tracker, they could also have Enduring Curiosity. But Beza resolving is good news against that. So I'm going to only attack with the Incubator. Okay, apparently not. Apparently I'll attack with both. Offer the trade for the Curiosity. I think looking back, I probably should have left the Innocence back in case they have another Sheltered by Ghosts here for the Beza. Okay, the Elspeth is finally coming down. They choose not to attack, but they are tapped out again, so we just have a cleaner answer to the Curiosity. And our board's getting like quite formidable at this point. Here I just want to get rid of Elspeth. They have fewer and fewer cards in hand. This attack makes it so that the token can't save Elspeth. And I just don't want to let them get their feet in under them. So any sort of like value engine I want to completely disrupt. And I don't think we have... I feel like if we had gone for life total, that's a way to lose. Whereas this way, if we cut them out of all other avenues, we will eventually kind of squeeze the life out of them, just bleed them out. Here I'm offering them the trade on the Innocence. And replaying a Beza helps us draw a card and untap blocker. Since they have 2 in hand and we will have 1. So keep the untapped 1, get our card. And we have a Caretaker to trigger Enduring Innocence on both turns. That'll stay. And yeah, I mean, we cut them off of their engines and we're establishing ours. It's just a matter of time now. This Sheltered by Ghosts is far too late. We're just coming at them from too many angles. They have 2 of them. And yeah, I mean, we're at 27, just losing on all metrics at this point. But, you know, if they want to play through it, they can. Or they could just end the pain and tap out. But, you know, happy to do carrot cake things until they do. Here's another Innocence coming up the following turn. And I'm thinking this will likely be the nail in the coffin. So that triggers the first one. And now we can trigger the new one off of Fountainport. Obviously they can't block as they only have a 3-1. Just add Beza for good measure. End step, make a fish. 2 triggers. And yeah, you can see how beautiful the deck is once the engine starts humming. Yeah, no thank you. Passing that land. And there's another finisher. So here really just looking for more pressure, although we're just going to win over the course of a couple turns. Something like Overlord of the Mistmoors or Caretaker's Talent would be the fastest way to end the game. We'll just pay for the 2 ward triggers here, as they do stack from Sheltered by Ghosts. My plan while sideboarding was just to optimize the removal, make it so that it lines up as best as possible. Something like Elspeth Smite goes dead pretty early in this matchup, as Optimistic Scavengers grow very fast and they grow the other creatures as well. So you're unlikely to be able to kill anything after it's been in play for a turn. But Exorcise, on the other hand, can directly remove Sheltered by Ghosts and exile Enduring Curiosity and Enduring Vitality. Fortunately, double mulligan here. Forced to keep this pretty decent hand, actually. We have our land drops rolled up, and you know, Fountainport is an engine in itself. Enduring Innocence, excellent draw. They start on Floodverge farm. Let's get the clean pick off here with Elspeth Smite. They don't have protection. Second Scavenger. Looks like they kept a 1 lander. So a little bit greedy, but they probably are loaded with many like cheap auras to grow these. Okay, multiple Scavengers makes a lot of sense. We'll just try and trade here with Enduring Innocence. Okay, there's a cheap aura, Enduring Ethereal Armor. think I probably would have spread the tokens here, having a 2/2 first strike and a 3/3 attacker. Okay, I mean, we're just getting everything we need now. So if we can weather this early onslaught, I'm sure we can take the game over. So I'm happy to transform my Enduring Innocence here and just keep the life total a bit higher. This again opens us up to be able to Sunfall cleanly and not lose that effect. And now we have Fountainport on our turn just to see if we can draw removal while they still have just the one land. 2 triggers, of course. I'm not going to level up the talent because I want to have access to creating a token on our turn as well as on their turn. Here they have Sheltered by Ghosts and second land. Their hand is all gas, so we just need to do our best to stave off this aggression. So we're just looking for sweepers or targeted removal that we can resolve now while they're tapped out. So, not a huge advocate of chump blocks in general, but this deck kind of, the tokens are expendable. They're most valuable as they come into play, as they produce kind of a card draw trigger. And then they are like speed bumps that help you kind of build up advantage until it's kind of insurmountable. So I'm fine training them off and then continuing to add to the board. Make land drops, continue to add value engines. Here we have Elspeth. And I think they're just looking to hit land so they can multi-spell and hold up protection. So again, last game we saw Faithlight as protection from them, as opposed to the cheaper 1-mana effect. Easy chump block here. We have 2 Fountainports to produce tokens on either turn and Elspeth's token producing ability. There's a Sunfall. It's a perfect time to use it. They may have sided in stuff like negates or the blue-white counterspell that exiles, no more lies. And yeah, here we're probably gonna sack token to draw a card. Okay, Inquisitive Glimmer. I'm thinking I want to do this because the 2/2 is not really impactful on this board and we just want more action. Okay, start with Elspeth, 2 card draws. And at this point, I think it's just too many land drops missed by the opponent for them to be able to stay in the game. So even though they started slowly, I mean, we also double mulligan. So in a sense, you know, both players stumbled, but it just shows you how powerful Optimistic Scavenger is. Like if they had their land drop a turn earlier, they may have been able to pressure us enough to kill us. Certainly 2 turns earlier, I think would have been enough because our draw ended up being like a very value-centric draw and wasn't very removal heavy, even though we sided into quite a lot of removal. And now we're just churning hard. I think there's absolutely no way they can get back into this game. Okay, they're at 33, but we can set up Virtue of Loyalty here to start pumping the team as well, and then level up the Caretaker's talent to level 3. I think it's probably a cure over the course of 2 turns. And their flash creatures are 3 and 4 mana respectively. So yeah, it must have a lot of protection in hand and then just like more expensive spells. Or maybe negate. Going into match 2. We're on the play this time. Got some land drops, got value engine, got interaction. Pretty decent. Okay, Thran Portal tells me 2 color red aggressive deck. Got Hearthfire Hero turn 1 here. I'm fine to take an extra point here to potentially get some value off of them playing a 2-drop and getting to kill that. Or if they go for some sort of trick, we can respond by trying to kill it. As it turns out, they just plot Slick Shot, and we do take that extra point. So while Get Lost is very versatile, and obviously it has the downside of giving maps that's particularly bad against red, as they do have Valiant triggers. So we tap out here to try and set up with an untapped Caretaker's Talent on our turn, and the plotted Slickshot's gonna get in for a good chunk. They cycle a couple, Might of the Meek, and really we're just looking to get to 5 lands, honestly. To set up protection, or 4, you know, Overlord of the Mistmoors is going to be a lot of power and toughness to buy us some time, help us get set up, but we miss our 4th land drop. And here we can see the extra downside against red of Get Lost with the maps. So they had a pretty weak hit there. They flipped Leyline, so no real value outside of the +1/+1 counter. Here I'm going to go for Laydown Arms. It looks like they're representing Snakeskin Veil, but you know, we're going to have to deal with that at some point, and I want to be able to spend my mana as efficiently as possible, so I'll just get it out the way. We miss our land drop again, so it's looking worse and worse. And now they trigger Valiant. It finds them a land. They have a Might of the Meek on top. And this is going to be a minimum of 6 damage. With 3 cards in hand. Another Slick Shot. Yeah, okay. Didn't get there this game. Try get them next game. So here, just optimizing removal. We're going to trim some value cards, as we're just interested in staying alive long enough to try and leverage our more powerful spells. I put in 1 Exorcise. The card I'm thinking about is Urbrask's Forge there. I don't want to over sideboard with that kind of effect, but since we're cutting Soul Partition, that's our main way of interacting with artifacts. Just going super defensive, putting in the Valkyries for more ways to gain life. And yeah, this hand's decent. Laydown Arms should help us tread water until we get to 4 mana for Beza. I mean, you know, ideally we hit a 2 or 3 drop on the way. No 1 drop from them, which is very nice. They did take a double mulligan and start with Leyline of Residence. Carrot Cake finds us one of our most desirable cards in the spot. No play on turn 2 for them again, like not even a plotted Slick Shot. So I'm thinking the hand probably has a lot of answers. Stuff like Scorching Shot, or the 2 casting cost 4 damage spell that exiles. Notably, they didn't have green there, so they couldn't play Seek the Beast. On my turn, I didn't attack with the Rabbit token, so we could have 3 power here if they have exactly Emberheart Challenger and Might of the Meek. As even though Leyline copies that, it's not going to give them enough toughness to be able to attack past these 2 creatures. And that's exactly what happened. So while they may have been happy to take this trade, so are we. So they got some cards. They're kind of undoing the double mulligan in a sense, but we're just hitting land drops and staying high on our life total while also kind of flipping our innocence. Here I get a little bit confused. I think that I get to choose whether I sacrifice an artifact or enchantment, so I don't sack Carrot Cake in response, and they had actually selected enchantment, so I didn't create my token in time to draw the card. That was a pretty bad punt. So now in end step, I just try and fix our draw to hit lands. Caretaker's Talent. I think we're pretty set as far as value, but I decide to keep it, as the game is pretty slow and our life total is very high. So here I'm just gonna level it up, get another rabbit, try hit a 5th land. And yeah, just not going to bother attacking again, just for the same reason. If they send a Emberheart Challenger or a Suspia at me, I'm happy to double block, make them commit the pump spell on their turn, and then, you know, if that pump spell happens to be a Snakeskin Veil, it'll give us an opportunity to lay down arms on our turn. So yeah, I'm just, I consider these tokens to be very expendable, and here we have it. They push some damage and make sure to save their creature, or getting a copy of Monstrous Rage thanks to their Leyline. This allows for our Beza to come in and get an extra trigger, so to give us the creature token trigger. And that's going to in turn trigger Caretaker's Talent and draw us a card. And since they're out of cards, we get to have a nice clean lay down arms here on their Slick Shot as well. So feeling great now. This was very strange. Pyroclasm. I think that's just an instance of them over sideboarding. Super happy to take this trade. They have nothing. We're untapping with a bunch of lands, a value engine in play, and another Beza. I choose not to put the Valkyrie in play in case they have a Scorching Shot, as I do want to get that lifelink hit off once. Thanks to the backup on the Valkyrie. And here we use a backup on Beza to give it lifelink and flying. And that brings us up to 26, and they've seen enough. So a bit of a reactive draw and double mulligan for the opponent, but you know, we'll take it. I think I made a mistake here not putting in both split ups and trimming another Sunfall. Immediately we see that as we draw Sunfall instead of split up, which is a lot cheaper, and you can cast earlier as a result. So they have a 1-drop this time. I think they kept 7, so that'll really put us to the test. So here it looks like they're going for a trick. You know, they probably have 2 tricks, otherwise they wouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to put them to the test and have them commit. So we smite in response to their Monstrous Rage, and they do have the Snakeskin Veil. So we're going to take a bit of damage, but we have plenty of removal post board, and we have some speed bumps to keep us alive. Okay, there's a split up. I'm going to keep that on top and kill the Hearthfire hero. We're going to take some damage. Here I had a bit of a brain fart. Okay, they're going to have a sacrifice our Carrot Cake, which I'm going to comment on that. I think they could definitely wait to have a sacrifice an enchantment or flyer, as they did see the angel. This is a punt on my part. I forgot that they have a monster roll token on their hero, so I think I would have gladly taken the 1 damage there and kept 2 untapped tokens. Sorry, the 1 extra damage. And then just go down to 6 here instead of 7 and keep the 2 tokens. Since this can't trade for anything, now I choose to attack. They have Seek the Beast on end step. 2 very good hits. So now they're going to be able to trigger the Valiant on their challenger. Let's see if they can get a land for max value. If they have a land out of hand, it's also pretty good. They do not. Puts us to 3. Now we're really hurting. Here I'm just thinking get tap land out of the way to ensure Sunfall next turn. We can also play a 2-2 at instant speed with Virtue of Loyalty. They're going very wide. With 2 cards left in hand, obviously hoping that it's not a Urbrass Forge or Burn. Here let's go for the block sack instead of trying to create the Knight and double block, as we are looking to Sunfall next turn. So just get max value and something to do post Sunfall. I did consider going Carrot Cake and Virtue here. Consider the upside of that. Maybe we can, you know, block and they won't go too wide, but yeah, I gave them a turn to try and win there with a Haster or with a Burn spell. They didn't have either, so I'm just thinking they must have more reactive cards. They don't have lands, they don't have Urbrass Forge, they don't have Burn, they don't have Haste creatures, they don't have any creatures, so I'm thinking it must be like more Pick Your Poison, some sort of creature removal Burn spell, or I don't even know at this point. So now we're getting set up, gain some life with Carrot Cake. They try and make us sack our Incubator token. We do sack it, but to Fountainport to draw a card. And yeah, just looking to play very defensively here and try get the life total up a little bit. Here's Boon-Bringer Valkyrie. I'm thinking this will likely die on their turn, but the lifelink's going to help us kind of get us over the edge. And then we also have Get Lost to protect against any haste threats. Oh yeah, of course they could have a trick in hand there when I was considering trying to deduce what their hand was. And yeah, they've seen enough. So we got there in that match. Okay, match number 3. Another decent hand. I don't love Soul Partition. as it's a speed bump again. This deck is very much about slowing the opponent down and trying to get set up. I choose not to exile their bat. Yeah, as it would be temporary, and it's not really putting pressure. It's kind of the same whether you exile it or not. This was pretty interesting. So I thought that they were on like a lower to the ground mid-range build since they opened up bat. Overlord is usually signals that they're like the bigger mid-range deck, kind of Seth Manfield's build from Worlds, with Up the Beanstalk and Deadly Cover-Up. So they've got a pretty big advantage here, having started on the play and set up Overlord on turn 3. And yeah, now you see Knight as well, so they're kind of a hybrid between those two builds. So I'm thinking maybe the Overlord is just their top end. We Beza here. Get kind of caught up for being on the draw by getting that treasure token. 2 fish, of course, since they had 2 creatures, we had nothing. Go for the throw, it's fine. We did draw a card off of Caretaker's talent as well. Here, I choose to throw my tokens under the bus just so that they can spend their turn replaying the Knight. I'm just scared that we get too far behind early on. As far as too far behind on board, and that they have too much pressure where we're not able to kind of get established. So I'm fine with us trading, kind of each of us drawing cards, because I think our value engines are stronger as the game goes on. So yeah, just looking to hit land drops, trying to draw cards. I want to be able to sweep this board as the Overlord's coming in next turn, so really digging now for a Sunfall. We copy our treasure there. Draw 2 cards from the trigger from each of the Caretaker's talents. Try and get tap land out of the way. We do have 2 treasures if we want to Virtue. Here they're Restless Cottage. So this would be 8 damage down to 12. Here I choose to sack the treasures for Virtue. I think this was a mistake looking back at it. Kind of had a brain fart thinking that the Dread Knight only lets you play it from adventure on the turn it dies, but it's until the end of your next turn, so they still have an opportunity to get value from it. I just thought I could kind of like get them there, right? So here, yeah, I just want to keep drawing cards, so having the Caretaker's talents trigger, I'm fine with casting a Get Lost on their Overlord. Again, I don't want them to kind of... The 2 ways we can lose, we're never losing this game in a value race. The 2 ways we lose is if they get too many lands in play to the point they're able to deploy too many threats, you know, in a situation where we don't find the Sunfall, or they get us low enough where they're able to kind of like get some sort of reach through us like sweeping and then they attack us with the Restless Cottage, or like having that happen and then they put a Sheoldred in play and then we untap and die to it. So yeah, I'm just trying to play very conservatively, take as little damage as possible. Here you'll see me chump block the Restless Cottage again. On our turn we're untapping with double Caretaker's talent and Elspeth, and we're still going to add Enduring Innocence to the board, and we're going to get 3 triggers per turn thanks to Fountainports in combination with Elspeth. So now it's literally a matter of time before we start finding the top end of our deck, and yeah, I think they can see the writing on the wall, so they just quit. Looking back on it, you'll see what happens in this game, but I'm sideboarding as if I'm playing against the lower to the ground mid-range black-green deck. So I saw Bats, I saw Mosswort Knight. I'm thinking they probably have Glisser as well. Glisser is quite good against us, as it's able to kill, obviously, all of our value engines, aside from Elspeth, since they are enchantments. Okay, just optimizing the removal suite, trimming a little bit on like the lower end value engines, so I cut the Virtues. You can see my sideboard guide in the description section of the video if you'd like to get a sense of the specifics as far as my strategy for sideboarding. I've refined it since playing these games. So they're starting off on a duress. They get our carrot cake, so they show respect, the respect that the carrot cake is due. And we're looking good. I mean, we had a great draw here. Beanstalk. I was very surprised to see this, for the reasons I mentioned before. This is a card you need to show extreme respect to, so technically we down a card in the exchange by us casting Get Last on it, but that's how you lose these games. You'd basically want to deny them their engines. See, they would have got another trigger here from the Overlord. You want to deny them their engines while establishing yours, and just a crazy good draw for us there. Elspeth on a board with no pressure. And I think I even go for a cheeky attack here, as if they choose to fire up their land and not add to the board, gladly chump block that. And I doubt they're going to be keeping cut down, right? So they could cut down our 1/1 and then attack the Elspeth for 4, but it will still be in play. Now we see another card that's highly effective against us. It's Nissa Ascended Animist. This can disenchant our value engines, so I'm going to try and put as much pressure on this card as I can. Just going to exile their blocker here as a tempo play. Our engine is pretty much established. I'm just trying to deny them theirs. So we went down a card by killing their token, but we drew 2 cards here just by adding a token to the board. And now their Nissa is at 3 loyalty. Okay, Baelmerk. Yeah, so this deck is a lot bigger than what I had originally thought, and we're fortunately not punished in drawing like a bunch of Elspeth Smite. I think they could have sided into a bigger deck potentially, because I haven't seen any bats or anything like that, and we are just seeing the bigger threats from them. So here I make my Enduring Innocence big enough to take out Nissa. We also have protection from their stuff. We can't lay down arms the Baelmerk as it is 5 CMC. And here I actually didn't know that Baelmerk can pick up non-avatar permanents. I think it's like creatures and planeswalkers. So actually go ahead and get the Nissa back. And looking back on it, I'm not sure if the correct play would have been to just Sunfall during our turn. It might have been, as now that Nissa can come down and kill our Caretaker's talent. I think they should have definitely held back their big token there to protect their Nissa. They go for the Enduring Innocence. Makes sense. It just makes it so they can untap and use Nissa again. As now we have pretty much no pressure. Fifth Plains on our turn is going to let us lay down arms the Overlord. But I think we're just going to attack with the 2 tokens and then Sunfall, setting up a big 4/4 incubator token for the following turn. And you can see we have like 9 cards in hand here. Could have sacked our fish as well. But yeah, we're just going to go to hand size. Anyway, I don't mind discarding like 2-3 planes. We're going to be hitting lands for the rest of the game. Okay, they finally go for the Caretaker's talent. We do have a backup in Enduring Innocence. Vivian Reed hits the battlefield now. So they only have 3 lands worth of mana available to them. It's fine, they can kill the Innocence. We have a backup 1 in hand. And we have a pretty good board here, so we're just going to get rid of that Gliss on our turn, set up the incubator, probably pump up that soldier token, and just go to town on their planeswalkers. I think they have 1 card in hand. This is what happens. We just didn't miss a land drop. We have a bunch of efficient spells that we're going to draw in our deck. So I mean, they spent 3 mana for that Gliss, so we spent 1 mana to remove it. And we're just going to town here. That's it. 3-0. And that does it for the games. As always, please be sure to let me know which deck you would like to see a deck tech and playthrough for next in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, you can see more of this channel's videos by clicking right here. And if you would like YouTube to serve you up more of my content as I upload it, best way to do so, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.